Hey, what's going on, boys? Your man CGOD. Another day, another dollar, another night to make a whole holla, baby. So basically, let's get right up into it. 1994 Blazer. You see it back there. 5.7. And not really wanting to focus. But either way, so we're pulling up in here. You see we got our alternator. That's what we're going to be swapping today, boys. Hit up Brand X Electrical. And they sent me over this 370 amp. So you can see here, look at it, check it out. So we got here, idle 800 RPM output is 200 amps. At 2000 RPMs, we're outputting 379. Voltage set point 14.8. I know it looks like 19, but believe me, it's 14. So here, it's got a bunch of instructions and whatnot. Set that to the side. Looks like we got a sticker from Brand X. Shout out to them. Killer. Here, basically all we're doing is, this is an adapter plug. So this will plug right into my factory one, my factory harness, and then plug directly into the AD244 alternator that they sent me. This blue wire is just going to be reading the voltage. So we're basically just going to plug that onto the stud for the alternator, which will be going to the battery, so it'll read voltage from there. Basically, you know what I means. So set all of this good stuff aside. Usually use two hands to take it out. So off the bat, it is definitely bigger than my factory alternator. That is for sure, for certain. The pulley is definitely smaller. So that's where we're getting our idle output, surely. But nice stud on it, like I said. Very nice looking unit. However, it is not going to bolt up the way the factory one does, and it's much larger. We may or may not need a different size belt also, serpentine belt. So I mean, first things first, we're going to go ahead and disconnect all of our connections, get our belt removed. Once we get all that done, we should be able to unbolt our original alternator, get it removed, and see what modifications need to be done to be able to fit the new one. But hopefully it's nothing too crazy, boys. And then we're also going to be doing the Big 3 upgrade. So, I mean, I've got 0 gauge wire. So obviously we're going to be running it from our positive source the same way this one is. You can see this one just runs through here and goes onto our factory wiring. So we will be adding on to this, as well as adding our ground. Wherever this ground goes, it goes to the engine block. We're going to be making a bigger one, or adding another one, I guess, and it'll go down there to our frame. That's usually how I would do it. This is just basically like the beginning. The reason for the 370 amp alternator, obviously, you know, for audio. Right now it's got two 12s in the back on like some kind of audio pipe amp of some sort. You know, I had it in the truck when I got it. Nothing too crazy, you know, not even worth a demo, to be honest. But yeah, so that is all gonna go, and we're gonna throw our setup in there. But first, we're gonna get this alternator in. So let me start cracking on it, boys, and I'll bring y'all right back. All right. So there we got our original unit. Nothing necessarily wrong with it that I know of. But moving on over here, let me show you how I got this bad boy put in. So here we have it, that Brand X. So I did reuse this bolt. This alternator does not have mounting for the rear brace. So, I mean, as you can see, I just put a slight bend on it just so that we clear the new alternator. Our secondary bolt down here, this one, I did have to drill it out to 3/8 because I put a 3/8 bolt on it. So you can see it's a bolt and a nut that goes all the way through it now, instead of the original one just had a single bolt that actually bolted into the alternator threads. But this one does not. One thing I will say, this is the original belt, right? So our tensioner, I mean, I would say it needs like 1/2 inch to 1 inch possibly longer belt, but I mean, I'm gonna try it here and see how it goes. You know what I mean? But yeah, it is a little bit more tensioned. I don't know if that will cause ill effects with the tensioner itself, or you know what I'm saying, we'll find out down the road. Worst comes to worst, we will potentially need a slightly longer belt. I'm pretty sure this alternator sits up higher. The pulley is definitely smaller, you know, but yeah, I believe it sits up higher, and that's the reasoning for the belt. But there it is, all bolted in. So coming up next, here we've got our 0 gauge wire that we're going to be running from our negative terminal on the battery down to the frame down there. We're going to be bolting it on to an existing bolt hole. Just going to make sure we clean up the metal real nice, get a good solid connection to ground. My battery, it had one of these in the positive post, you know, so this bolt on the end is removable so that you can add, you know, like the amplifiers and stuff. So I'm going to need to get one for the ground because the ground does not have one. And then I'll be able to bolt the ground wire to the frame. And here we got our run of 0 gauge down here. But I need to get some more wire terminals. That way I can put on our gauge holder. So I mean, as you can see here, gauge holder will go in between the power from the alternator to the battery. And I'm going to be using a 400 amp fuse. I was told it's mainly just for if you have a short, you know, it'll just kill power instead. And then I need to get another wire terminal for this little blue wire, because that has to go onto the positive post here. So that plug-in will go here, and our blue wire is going to run right over here, and then our power wire will go over to the battery. But as you can see, it's a pretty good sized stud. So I need to get a wire terminal that'll fit that. And then we should be golden after that, boys. After we get it wired, positive and negative, then we should be good to go ahead and turn it on. And in the instructions, it says to give it a good 10-15 minutes before you put any type of load on it. So we'll just have the truck running, you know, just monitoring our voltage, making sure our voltage is the same, you know, here at the alternator post, over here at the battery, and that's probably all we'll check, to be honest with you. If we're getting good voltage from here to the battery, then we should be good, considering everything was good from the battery onto the truck. So there it is. Only had one busted knuckle, so we're doing good, boys. I'm gonna run and grab some terminals, and we should be able to finish this thing up. All right, here we got the finished product. Got our harness plugged in, belt is on, tensioned up, all of our wiring is ran, heat shrinked. Probably still going to secure the wire a little bit more. Just ran it through this little bracket for the heater hose, going through our 400 amp fuse up to the battery. Both posts now have the bolt attachment. So we got our 0 gauge ground wire down here on the frame. Might be a little bit hard to see, but we do got it scuffed up, so we got a solid connection to the frame, to Mother Earth. Should be ready for first startup now, hopefully. You want to start it, dude?
I got you, bro.
Here. We'll see how it goes. Hey, but if it's fucked up, just shut it off, yeah? Mainly just the tensioner is kind of weird. Hey, and shut off the air, like the AC. Alright, so we're definitely rolling. Everything looking good there. My God, dude. Alright, so before with the original alternator, this truck never really hit 14. This one's regulated at 14.8, as we've seen by the paperwork. It looks to me like it's hitting too. We're going to let her just chill and idle for a good 10 to 15 minutes. We're not going to play the system or anything like that. I'm not even going to run no AC or lights or anything. Just to let her kind of, I don't know, to be honest, but in the paperwork it says to give it about 10-15 minutes before we put a load on her. So until then, we're just gonna let her chill, boys. After that's done, we'll get to putting a little bit of a load on it and give y'all the outcome. All right, So there it is, 100% completed, ran, tested, proven, you name it. So far, we got it all mounted up. Voltages are all looking good through the multimeter. I did zip tie it back here just to make sure we don't get the wire rubbing on anything. We don't want it to get heated by any exhaust or coolant. So that'll do for now. Make sure to stay tuned. We got another video coming up where we're going to be installing some new audio equipment in the back, you know, and again doing more wiring under here. Basically, we're going to be doing 2 more runs. I'm going to do a 0 gauge run from the battery to the amplifier and from the alternator to the amplifier. So, I mean, I'll make sure to leave a review of how the alternator has done since then. I have 2 little 12s on an audio pipe 1500 watt amp, so I mean, I'm not pushing it too hard, but I did have them at full tilt with the AC running, you know, the lights and everything. And our voltage dropped from like 14.8 to like 14.6. But I don't know if it like self-adjusts or what, but it's not too bad of a drop considering the factory alternator never seen over 14 volts. But yeah, so far it's looking real good, boys. Make sure to stay tuned. Like I said, that's probably going to be it for this one. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Got a lot more coming for y'all. All right, later. Deuces.